In one of the previous videos, I shared how experiencing natural consequences is part of life. And when we come in to protect our children from experiencing those natural consequences of their actions, we sort of stunt their growth. I gave the example of my son and how he let the anger get the best of him, and he threw something at our TV and broke the TV in our basement. And the natural consequence for his action is the absence of the TV, experiencing the absence of the TV for whatever the length of time is right, felt right. And if I go in and simply replace that TV the next day, it sort of protects him from experiencing the natural consequence for his actions. And this can seem cold, harsh, strong in many eyes, but it's really only the immature that see these natural consequences as being too hard, being too strong, being too cold. But this natural consequence for our actions is necessary for our growth, for maturing. And those who have experienced these natural consequences know exactly what I'm talking about. How it's actually through experiencing these natural consequences that we grow, that we mature, that we evolve. And these consequences teach us profound lessons in life that can only be learned through living. It's just as much of a teacher, the consequences, as the rewards in life. So it's not about being cold or harsh or strong. It's not about punishment. It's about correction. These consequences provide a natural correction for our actions. They bring us into alignment with truth, to throw things out of anger. We experience the destruction of our actions, and how I explained in the other video how it doesn't just affect my son, but it affects my two other kids. And now the three kids don't have a TV in the basement to enjoy the shows and the movies that they love to watch. So the responsibility, the accountability is learned. The honor, the respect for our space and those things in our space are learned. So it brings one into more alignment with truth. It's a natural correction. Now, when you're embodying the masculine energy, Giving these consequences or allowing yourself and others to experience these consequences is not about you being a hard ass or a tough guy or someone with a cold heart. But you see how these consequences bring that correction and align one with truth. It's part of the structure. It's part of the order that you restore when you embody the masculine energy. So it's about you being steady, not collapsing when it's time to hold the line, to stand up strong. Because that's the structure that you are embodying that restores the natural order. It's those consequences that become the correction, that bring alignment in your life to truth. It's not about you closing your heart. It's not about being rigid. But there's a time for correction and there's a time for connection. When you soften your boundaries, when you collapse instead of holding the line and holding the firm boundaries that you set, standing as the standards that you embody, you don't allow that correction to happen. One, it stunts the growth of your kids. Two, it doesn't restore the order because you're not embodying that masculine energy that restores the order. So, in those moments where you must be steady, hold the line, don't collapse, don't cave in just because there's some discomfort that's felt in your family. That's the time when there's correction. The balance is following up with that correction with connection. And this is the wholeness, the masculine and the feminine. It's not about simply correcting, where you become so rigid, hard. The distortion is when it becomes dominance, when it becomes suppression, when it becomes control. But after these moments of correction, you let your edge be felt. by holding the line steady, standing with a spine without collapsing. You let your kids, you let your husband, you let your wife, you let those in your life feel your edge. Feel your boundary. And after, when that energy settles, in that time of reflection, in that spaciousness that you have protected, then is the time for connection, where you can open up to your children, your husband, your wife, and let them feel the openness of your heart. They'll respect the boundary. They'll appreciate what you stand for. And ultimately, they'll feel that boundary as love. They'll feel that the consequence is that correction, that alignment that serves them. That serves their growth, their evolution, their transformation. So it's about timing. If you're trying to connect with them while correcting them, you sort of erode your own boundary. It's difficult to set a firm boundary and soften it at the same time. What you end up doing is confusing your kids, your partner, those in your life. But the timing is following up after that boundary has been set, and you let them feel the firmness of that boundary, the strength of the boundary. You let them feel the weight of that consequence. That space that's been created. The silence, the stillness. You let them feel that masculine energy. But then after, they can also feel the openness, the softness, the connection that follows the correction. And like this is the healthy balance, the wholeness of the union of the masculine and feminine embodiment. That your kids, your partner, long to experience. So, like always, it's not to take things to the extremes. It's not to see one thing and ignore the other, but to see everything in its wholeness. And like that, your life becomes a reflection of your wholeness. So if you're ready to experience your wholeness and have your life reflect your wholeness through the embodiment of the masculine and feminine energy, I invite you to join me on the journey of truth.